The impact of the physical and spiritual violation of children by their parents and teachers. The realization of Earth's potential is contingent upon the ability of our social processes to generate the sophisticated human resources required for this task. To date, the, to date, most human individuals have been unable to perceive and conceptualize this potential in the fullness of its implications, and have consequently been unable to visualize, integrate, activate, and manage such strategies as are required in order to guide the developmental process towards its realization. This deficit in conceptual capacity and strategic competence can be seen to be contingent upon the nature, structural form, and content of primary formative processes currently operative within our global civilization, and can in fact be seen to have facilitated the guidance of the developmental process into the currently evident context of violence and war. The modification of the nature, structural form, and content of such primary formative processes is essential for the generation of the high levels of conceptual capacity and strategic competence required to bring the ongoing war to an end and manage the interactions between the conflicting interests impacting upon the planet in their pursuit of the realization of its potential. Today, the physical and spiritual abuse of children by their parents is by far a greater, more pressing, and far more serious problem than that of their sexual abuse. Not every child is subjected to sexual abuse, but almost every child is subjected to physical and spiritual abuse at the hands of their parents and teachers. This violent abuse of children turns them into passive and spineless beasts of burden, bereft of conceptual capacity and strategic competence, and hence robbed of their initiative and of all sense of moral values, stricken with fear, and therefore unable to speak out against harmful actions and attitudes, or even about the violation to which they themselves have been subjected, and condemned to a life of obedience and hard labor in order to provide for their spouses, children, family, religious institutions, and state at the cost of the realization of their own individual vision, mission, and goals, the kind of spiritually barren and broken wrecks who carry out the orders of those who occupy positions of authority without question or criticism, and who thereby place the interests of the institutional framework of our civilization above and before being human, enabling thereby the rise and rampant rule of terror. Apart from the institution of the family, the education system is the single most influential component of these primary formative processes. The global education system is currently characterized by the widespread prevalence of brutal, manipulative, and violently oppressive relations between students and teachers. It is a sad fact that physical and spiritual violence is still the most widely used method of pedagogy in most areas of the planet. Teachers believe that beating, ridiculing, humiliating, belittling, and harassing their students, not only in schools, but also in professional colleges of learning, where students are not children but adults, is the only way to make them learn. Most parents believe this as well, and so encourage teachers to beat, bully, and belittle their children. The generation of the human resources required for the realization of Earth's potential demands the immediate removal of this physical and spiritual violence from within the primary formative processes that operate within our global civilization. The physical and spiritual abuse of children by their parents and other adults, as well as the use of these forms of abuse as a method of pedagogy within the education system, has therefore to be outlawed without delay. It must be replaced by a context that makes the relationship between teacher and student the central core and fundamental measure and monitor of the education process, while academic and technical content are moved towards its periphery. Models of non-authoritarian and tolerant methods of parenting must be made available and widely publicized, and those who continue to physically and spiritually abuse their children must be effectively prevented from doing so. To those who have already been victimized by the prevailing primary formative processes, the Synthetist mission offers training programs aimed at progressively liberating trainees from the effects of their victimization.